All right, so let's start with the big story that we are tracking on WION at this hour. Donald Trump's tariff war on 185 countries of the world has sent the markets in a bit of a downward spiral. Investors are worried about the global economy, the traders are panic selling, and economists are warning of high chances that the United States could slip into a recession. The markets have opened sharply lower for a second straight day since Trump's tariff announcement on Wednesday. The stock market took a heavy beating after China retaliated with fresh tariffs of its own on U.S. goods. Beijing has levied an additional 34% retaliatory tariff on American goods from the 10th of April. The Dow Jones Industrial Average traded more than 1,200 points lower. Nasdaq is set to close in the red as a record sell-off continues. The Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell's statement has also witnessed immediate ripple effects on market indices. Powell has said that the central bank's interest rates will remain unchanged until it gets more clarity on long-term impact of Trump's tariffs. However, the US president is ramping up pressure on the Fed chief to cut interest rates. Trump, in fact, took a swipe at Powell in a post on social media platform Truth Social, calling on the Federal Reserve Chair to stop playing politics. Amid speculation and fear of stalled global growth, bank economists are also painting a very worrying picture. The top analysts estimate that Trump's tariff increase could cost the U.S. households a staggering $700 billion. This is equivalent to the largest de facto tax hike that was levied since the Revenue Act of 1968 during the Vietnam War. Now, experts are also saying that there's also a 60% chance that the United States could slip into recession. All right, now to give us some more details on this, we're joined by our correspondent Susan Tehrani, who's joining us live from New York over the phone line. Susan, from the estimates that are coming in, the tariffs that Donald Trump has imposed could cost the average American households a sum total of $700 billion. These tariffs were meant to bring in more wealth for the people of America, but what it looks like, the Americans could in fact end up paying a lot more for the goods that they could earlier purchase for a lot cheaper.
Yeah, Mohammed, every economist that we talk about says that there is no promising solution, at least in the short term. In the long term, it may be able to work out, but then you have to listen to Powell's latest comments. This was really his most vivid on the subject, and it just comes days after President Trump unveiled those tariffs against many countries. And then like smaller countries like Vietnam, these are countries that there are factories in there, like Nike factories, they make T-shirts, they make sneakers. It's going to be very hard not to see these prices of these things go up, not to mention, groceries as well that come from overseas. The optimistic note that the Trump administration is making is that these are negotiating tactics. They're going to really sit down and negotiate during the weekend, and by Monday we might see a little bit of a cooling off. But, we'll have to wait and see if this trend goes forward. Almost everyone we talk about absolutely agrees that there is going to be inflation and, possibly even they're talking about a stagnation or recession.
Interesting. We'll have to leave there. Thank you very much indeed, Susan Tehrani, for joining us over the phone line there. For all the latest news, download the WION app and subscribe to our YouTube channel.